A very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to week 4 of this semester. I hope that you are all doing well. Moreover, I hope that you are keeping yourself safe and you are also keeping up with CN 708, its syllabus, and the assessments that has been released on Moodle so far. So what we'll do first is we'll quickly go and have a look at our coverage for week 4. So for week 4, we will be doing the following things. Okay, we will be going over our lecture class, which is today. Moreover, you are to attempt the week 3 lecture-based quiz and also attempt the tutorial. Now for the tutorial questions, these questions need to be answered in the tutorial forum provided in the week 4 section of the Moodle shell. Moreover, for the case studies we'll be discussing it in the class. And these discussion will be taking place in our Friday's tutorial discussion session, which is Zoom based. Moreover, please continue work on your critic writing carries 5% towards your assessment. Should you have any questions or queries, you're most welcome to contact me on munil.counter@fnu.ac.fj or always feel free to drop me a message on Moodle. So those are our to-do lists for week 4. Moreover, just quick reminders, please do go and attempt your lecture 1 and lecture 2 quizzes. Lecture 3, you do not have any quiz because your lecture 3 is going to be discussed and we will cover up lecture 3 in this week's sessions. As for your assessments, your critic writing 5% has already been released, just like mentioned in the to-do list. Please try your very best to attempt it as soon as possible. It is due within another 2 to 3 weeks time. Moreover, do note that week 7 is your online based mid-semester exam. So please ensure that you attempt your critic writing before you actually go and attempt your mid-semester exam so that it gives you ample time to go and revise and be well prepared for mid-semester exams. Apart from that, I hope all of you are doing well. Okay, so let's quickly jump in our lecture 3. Today, our lecture 3 consists quite a lot of number of slides. We have a total of 56 slides. I hope all of you are able to see the screen in front of you. Yes, you are. Okay. And we'll quickly hop in to our lecture notes and start the discussions on them. So today, what we will be looking at is we will be looking at electronic business value. Now, electronic business, also called as e-business, okay, it is conducting or operating a business through electronic means, most preferably through the use of the World Wide Web, or what we call it as online businesses. Now, in the past, e-businesses carried very little impact to our daily lives. But if you start looking at the things in the world around us now, both businesses and individuals have embraced internet technologies and are active partakers in electronic businesses. There are many reasons why businesses would engage into electronic businesses. Now, if you look at the global situation that is taking place to the impacts of COVID-19, you'll see that more and more e-businesses are popping up. Okay, so probably that would be one of the reasons why we have e-businesses. Now, apart from that, let's say if there wasn't any COVID-19, e-businesses are there to enhance productivity. They maximize convenience as users are able to, or customers are able to sit at home and do shopping. Okay, improve communication globally, and also is globalization. When you talk about globalization, it's just like having the impacts of the rest of the world in our country as well. Having the products that is sold in the other side of the world, we also have it here in Fiji. How? To the use of globalization. Now, we will look at the technologies and the processes that will change the nature, or that is changing the nature of the buyer-seller relationship in this set of lecture notes. So moving on, so section 3.1, we will look at Web 1.0 on e-businesses, and then later on in section 3.2, we'll be looking at Web 2.0. Now, all these Web 1.0 and 2.0, they have different kinds of technologies involved. So if you look at Web 1.0, it's basically talking about disruptive technology. So we'll come to know in just a while what disruptive technology is. And moreover, we have the 4 types of e-business models. Most of you must be familiar with these business models. We'll go and discuss them anyways in our lecture slides. And we have e-business tools for connecting and communicating. So what different types of tools are available for electronic businesses to actually connect and communicate with the customers, and what are some of the challenges involved? Now, section 3.2 is on Web 2.0. Now, Web 2.0, it is basically many levels up in terms of technology that we had in Web 1.0. So Web 2.0, basically, we will go and talk about the advantages of businesses 2.0. We'll look at some of the networking communities with business 2.0. We'll be also looking at some collaborating tools. We'll look at some challenges involved and what are some of the next generation online business opportunities derived through the use of Web 3.0. So we'll have a look at these things in today's lecture notes. So first of all, Web 1.0, e-businesses. So in section 3.1, we'll compare disruptive and sustaining technologies and explain how the internet and the World Wide Web cause business disruption. We'll also describe e-business and its associated advantages. We'll be looking and we will be comparing the four business, most likely the electronic business models. Furthermore, we'll describe the 6 business tools for connecting and communicating, okay? And also we'll identify the 4 challenges associated with e-businesses. So these are the 5 main learning outcomes for section 3.1. Moving on, disruptive versus sustaining technology. Now, what I will do is I will read out the definition, and then straight after the definition, I will be giving the examples or the necessary explanations involved. Now, digital Dawnism implies that organizations which cannot adapt to the new demands placed on them for surviving in the information age are doomed for extinction. Now, in the term digital Darwinism, in simple terms, what we say is either businesses need to step up or they need to step aside. In other words, if the businesses are not able to keep up with the current information age and also not able to meet up with latest technological demands, they have to close out. This is what digital Darwinism would mean. Disruptive technology, a new way of doing things that initially does not meet the needs of existing customers. Disruptive technology creates new products, it creates new markets. It demonstrates the value of something consumers didn't know that they needed or wanted. Example, customers way back when Apple had released its iPod, that was something customers didn't know that they needed or they wanted. But as soon as Apple released their iPod and iTunes, it became a new way in which music could be shared with others, or music could become an entertainment in our lives. And how it became as such, digital music came up. Before that, we didn't have digital music. We were buying music in terms of tapes, in terms of CDs, and so forth. And when iTunes and iPods came up through Apple Incorporation, that's where we started having music digitally. Sustaining technology produces an improved product customers are eager to buy. When we talk about sustaining technology, it is talking about companies improving their products, the competition with other organizations with similar products, and the race for who has the best product. Example, if you look at the current smartphone market, you'll see many companies are producing smartphones. Now the big companies, they produce smartphones, and each and every year something new comes up with a little improved feature. So these improved features are called sustaining technology. And what does it do? It basically encourages customers to buy that particular product or service. Disruptive versus sustaining technology. Continue, we'll look at innovator's dilemma. Discusses how established companies take advantage of disruptive technology without hindering existing relationships with customers, partners, and stakeholders. Now, innovator's dilemma, what it does is these are the decisions that businesses must make between catering to their customers' current needs or adapting new innovations and technologies will answer their future needs. So what happens is, while the businesses are catering for their customers' current needs, at the same time, they're also catering for future needs of the customers. And how do they do that? And how do they actually do that? To the use of disruptive technologies. The internet and the World Wide Web, the ultimate business disruptors. One of the biggest forces changing business is the internet. Internet, we don't say our internet, but we say the internet. Internet, it is a massive network that connects computers all over the world and allows them to communicate with one another. Organizations must be able to transform as markets, economic environments, and technologies change. Focusing on the unexpected allows an organization to capitalize on the opportunity for new business growth from a disruptive technology. In simple terms, when you talk about the internet, now google.com is not the internet. Facebook.com is also not internet. Okay, these are different companies or internet-based companies. When you talk about the term internet, internet is basically many networks of computers connected to one another, forming a super massive network of its own. For example, we have a small network, let's say in FNU Natamboa campus. We have a small network in FNU Namaka campus. We have a network in Ba campus. So when you combine them, they become internetwork. So the word internet, the long form is inter-network. That means many networks combined together. Now with internet, organizations are able to transform into something big. They're able to bring in technological change. Then what it does is it opens gate for new opportunities. It opens gates for business growth even more. And this is only possible to the use of internet or internet work. World Wide Web or WWW. So if you're typing down www.google.com, okay, so WWW is World Wide Web. Provides access to internet information through document, including text, graphics, audio, and video files that use a special formatting language called HTML. The long form for the abbreviation HTML is Hypertext Markup Language. Now, when you talk about World Wide Web or WWW, the people generally mix up internet and World Wide Web. In fact, they are very different. What happens is the World Wide Web, they operate on the internet. So moreover, the World Wide Web or WWW is the software component and the internet is the hardware component. So the World Wide Web also, it is a global hypertext system, whereas if you talk about internet, it is the network of computers. So there's a vast difference between World Wide Web and the internet. A web browser allows user to access the www. Now the www is the World Wide Web, so a web browser is basically a software that allows you to browse through or go through the World Wide Web. Now, examples of browsers, you have Google Chrome, it's a browser, you have Mozilla Firefox, you have Waterfox, okay, you have Internet Explorer, so many more, okay? So these are all examples of web browser. Now, the Hypertext Transport Protocol, Hypertext Transport Protocol, not transfer, but transport protocol, the internet protocol web browsers use to request and display web pages using URL, Universal Resource Locator. Now, what happens is generally when you type in www.google.com and press enter from the keyboard, what you notice is that that particular address changes to http://www.google.com. So HTTP is basically the internet protocol that web browsers use to request the web pages from the server where the website is stored, and then that request is responded to and it displays the web page on your specific browser. Okay, and how does it do it? It does it through the use of URL, which is Universal Resource Locator. Another common name for URL is the website address. www.facebook.com is a URL. www.google.com is a URL. Universal Resource Locator. Now, here's the thing. Research has indicated that the current technology that we are using nowadays, let's say in 2021, it will only represent 1% of the technology. Okay, let me repeat that. The current technology that we have now in 2021, it will only represent 1% of the technology that we will have by the year 2050. That means whatever we have, okay, is likely to increase by 99% more. So that is how technology will rise by the year 2050. The internet and the World Wide Web, the ultimate business disruptors. When we say business disruptors, what it means is technology that has just boomed the businesses. Okay, the reasons for growth of the World Wide Web. So we have some of the reasons. We have microcomputer evolution. Now, what it is made possible for an average person to own a computer. So a microcomputer, the desktop computers that you have, the laptops that you have, those are all microcomputers. So each and every one, or most of the individuals in the world, they are able to own one. Okay, even now, our microcomputer is basically in our pockets, our mobile phones. They could be averaged as a microcomputer. So we're able to own it. So that has basically led to the growth of the World Wide Web, because if you own the device, you're able to use the internet more. Advancements in networking. Businesses were able to connect to larger networks at a minimal cost. So when we talk about connecting to a larger network, is just a means of saying is, if you are able to conduct your business through the use of social media, okay, so when you are putting or advertising your products on social media, you're connecting to a network that is based in the United States, because remember, Facebook is just a website. So the website is basically stored in a server. So the server is basically a computing device, and you can only access the website of Facebook provided you connect to their network. So with our network here in Fiji, we're able to connect to the network in the States. So that's advancements in networking, while previously we were not able to do so. Easy browser software provided users with easy to use GUI to find, download, and display web pages. When we talk about GUI, the abbreviation GUI would stand for graphical user interface. What happens is, in the early days, generally, if someone would like to command a computer to do something for them, they would need to write some programming languages. Basically, we used to call it as scripting languages. However, these days, we have easy browser software whereby we have graphical interfaces to the use of clicks, to the use of buttons. We have text-based commands. Okay, to the use of that, you are able to view web pages. And then we have speed, convenience, and low cost of email. Okay, leads to its popularity for business and personal communications. Now, with the speed, now when we talk about speed, compare the speed of the internet that we have today compared to what we had about 5 years ago. It's better. Okay, it's faster. Probably it's 100 times better and faster. Convenience. Okay, with the World Wide Web, it has become very convenient to purchase products from anywhere in the world. And the low cost of email. If you notice the cost of email, actually it's zero cost mostly. Why? Because if you want to connect to someone through the use of email, use Gmail, it's free. All you need to do is you need to spend for the internet data that you're buying. Now, it leads to its popularity for business and personal communication. Web pages, easy to create and flexible. True. Now, web pages or websites, they've become an easy thing to create and it's flexible. Previously, 5 years back, if you'd like to compare the cost of developing a website compared to what it is now, previously it used to cost $3,000, $4,000, or $2,000, somewhere around there. Nowadays, you can easily get a website done for about $300 to $400. Or if you don't want to spend that much of money, just go over YouTube, just go over some websites like w3schools.com, and you can easily learn how to create websites, and you can host and launch your own websites. So it has become very easy to create, and also it's flexible. Web 1.0, the catalyst of e-business. Now, Web 1.0 generally involved some form of technologies that became a game changer for many different types of electronic businesses. Now, the internet has had an impact on almost every industry, including travel. Now, if you look at travel, the internet had allowed, look at Fiji's example. Currently, the tourism is down because of the obvious reasons, COVID-19. But when it was at its boom, people from all around the world could easily book a hotel or a resort here in Fiji. They could easily book a meal menu, or they could easily book a service just to the use of the internet, and within few seconds or minutes. Entertainment, you're able to have a lot of entertainment features. Entertainment would not basically mean just watching movies, watching games. YouTube is also part of entertainment, and to a certain extent social media has become a biggest entertainment all around. You have electronics, you have financial services, retail, automobiles, education and training. Now all these types of industries have boomed to the use of Web 1.0 tools, and these businesses has flourished over the period of time. Web 1.0 attempt to refer to the World Wide Web during its first few years of operation between 1991 and 2003. By the way, the first website that was ever developed, basically it was developed by an individual by the name of Tim Berners-Lee, and he developed it on the 6th of August 1991, approximately 30 years from now. So within those 30 years, there has been a lot of development in the World Wide Web. Now, with the development of the website in the World Wide Web, we had something called as e-businesses and e-commerce that came up. When you talk about e-businesses, we are generally talking about taking our businesses or conducting businesses through electronic means, especially through the use of the internet. But when we are talking about e-commerce, so e-commerce is basically the buying and selling of goods and services over the internet. So if I would have to explain e-commerce in a simple terms, you can always go and refer to ebay.com, AliExpress, Alibaba. These are the examples of e-commerce. Now, when you talk about e-commerce, it's the buying and selling of the goods and services over the internet. There's a huge difference. If you have a business which just disseminates information, for example, look at pgvillage.com. They have a website, they give out information on the website. Now that is not an e-commerce website. E-commerce website deals with buying and selling of goods and services over the internet. That means the user is able to make some sort of payments over the website. So AliExpress, eBay are some of them. We have the local one, vtcart.com. Okay, they allow you to do so. Now, e-businesses basically includes e-commerce along with all activities related to internal and external business operations. We've had a look at e-businesses a few slides back. Now, Web 1.0 catalyst for e-business, e-business advantages. So what are some of the advantages that e-business leads to? So we're looking at expanding global reach. So when we talk about expanding global reach, we're looking at a business point of view in reaching out for more information, a business point of view in terms of reaching out to new people. So what you're doing is, if you are basically conducting your business online, not only you are attracting customers locally, but you're also attracting customers globally, worldwide. Opening new markets. Opening new markets would mean the same thing as reaching out new customers, new audiences. So when if you are selling or having a business online, so instead of you just selling clothes, you can also introduce shoes, you can introduce watches, you can introduce bags. So that provides you with a new opportunity and new market to actually go around and improve your business further. It reduces costs. Very true. How? Now, if you look at the general brick and mortar way of conducting business, when I say brick and mortar, it's just a way of you having a physical shop. Let's say in any town somewhere, you have a business and you pay rent, you pay bills, you will pay all sorts of utility bills, you'll pay your license and everything. Moreover, you will have to employ a few more people, and then so forth. Okay, you have to pay for OHS and so forth. Now, if you are owning an e-business, let's say you cancel out the physical shop, you can attract not only more customers, but you reduce costs in terms of paying your utilities and rents. Moreover, it improves operations and it improves effectiveness. So expanding global reach. So how do you expand global reach? So we'll have a look at all these in here. So when you expand global reach, okay, you're looking at the internet's impact on information. Easy to compile, search for information on products, prices, customers, suppliers, and partners is fast and easier when using the internet. How? Just Google search. It becomes easy for you to find information on products. If you want to introduce a new business, or if you want to introduce a new product in your business, just go and search for the products online and you can easily find the products. You can liaise with the owners, you can liaise with the supplier or the business partners, and from there you can introduce a new product. So you open way for new markets. Increased richness refers to the depth and breadth of information transferred between customers and business. Businesses and customers can collect and track more detailed information when using the internet. So like I mentioned earlier, okay, when you talk about expanding global reach, in business point of view, reaching out for more information, reaching out to more people. Increased reach refers to the number of people a business can communicate with on a global basis. Businesses can share information with numerous customers all over the world. So not only you are attracting customers within your locality, let's say not only in Nandi, you'll attract your customers in Notoka, Suva, so forth. Now, not within different districts, you can also reach out to customers in different countries as well. Improve content. A key element of the internet is its ability to provide dynamic, relevant content. Now, very important. Sometimes, you know, how businesses would reach out to customers is usually through the use of word of mouth. That means that the word is spread to other customers. Now, with the use of e-businesses, what you can do is not only your business is marketed through the word of mouth, but it is marketed to a platform whereby anyone could see the information that you want to relate out to them, to the use of websites, to the use of social media. For example, if I own a business and if one of my customers is very happy with me, he or she posts a review on my social media page and says the product is good and this is Ford and they really appreciate our service and so forth. What I can do is I can make a snapshot of that and post it on my social media page. Now, don't you think that will attract more customers? It definitely will. Okay, so the word is spreading, so improve content. Opening new markets. E-business is perfect for increasing niche product sales. When you talk about niche, it's not called niche, but niche. The pronunciation is niche. So when you talk about niche product, is a product targeting a specific section of a larger industry and market. Okay, so most likely, let's say we have a niche product. Let's say Adidas is a very niche product. So specific people go for these products. People who can afford them, one, and secondly, people who are brand savvy. So your Adidas products. So which company here in Fiji specializes in Adidas? We have Jax. They specialize in Adidas, or I think even Tupperwares as well. So they have a niche product sales. Mass customization. The ability of an organization to tailor its products and services to customers' satisfaction. So mass customization is designing, developing of products or services as per customers' demand and specification. So if your customer prefers something as such and you have a group of customer who prefers, let's say, a specific product, so you will directly produce the product for those set of customers only. Now, another word related to mass customization is personalization. Occurs when a company knows enough about our customers' likes and dislikes that it can fashion offers more likely to appeal that person. Personalization is basically where a business knows enough about the person's likes and dislikes, hence they offer products and services that will appeal to that specific set of customer. So it's just like a product the customer would prefer. Okay, so the business generally develops, or business generally designs products based on that customer's need. That's why it very simply says e-business is better for increasing niche product sales. That means you have specific set of people who buy those kind of products and services. Reducing costs. Long tail refer to the tail of a typical sales curve. So if you look at the diagram here, so you have a long tail. So what is long tail? Long tail is generally a business strategy that allows companies to realize significant profit by selling low volumes of hard to find items to many customers. So what happens is that in this strategy, okay, so a company realizes that there's a lot of profit in selling very low volume of some items which are hard to find. Now, do we have any such thing here in Fiji, whereby you have only one or two shops that generally sell such kind of an item? For example, what I can think of is just recently I saw an advertisement somewhere. So Tapus has these cosmetic item MAC products, MAC. Okay, so these products are specifically very hard to find here in Fiji. Only one business sells it, and generally the company Tapus makes a quite a lot of amount of profit based on this hard to find item. Another thing that I could think of is you have over even those Nike, Adidas brands. Okay, so these are products which sells in very low quantity, but the profit margin is quite high. So long tail generally refers to a strategy as such. Now this strategy allows niche products. So again, what is niche product? Product targeting a specific section of customers to be sold profitably via e-business loan limitations such as shelf space. All right, so with e-business, it becomes easy to sell items which are generally labeled as niche products, and generally these products will generally generate more revenue, even though if low number of items are sold. Okay, reducing costs, you have intermediary. Now, intermediary, basically agents, software, or business that provide a trading infrastructure to bring buyers and sellers together. Okay, now intermediary are basically, it is a platform where buyers and sellers can come together and sell their products and services. I don't think we have such a product here in Fiji. Now, previously we used to have a website called Buy and Sell in Fiji, but Buy and Sell in Fiji, basically it wasn't allowing any payment processing to take place, but it was used to basically advertise a specific business's product or service. But what I could really think of at the moment is eBay, AliExpress. Now they do all these things. So with intermediary, what businesses would do is if they have a product they would like to sell, they can have it on a platform and then they will sell it to the customers, and in return they pay the platform a certain amount of commission or fee. Now disintermediation occurs when a business sells directly to the customer online and cuts out the intermediary. Disintermediation is when businesses will sell products directly to the customers, and there's no use of a trading platform. For example, not selling the product to the use of eBay. What business would do is generally sell the product directly to the customers. They have their own website and they will sell the product through that. I can give a very good example that we have here in Fiji. Now, intermediary, if you look at a product, Pure Fiji products. Now, Pure Fiji generally do not sell their products by themselves. They have a small sale in Suva in every Saturdays or every fortnight. I'm not so sure when, but they sell those products will maybe slightly rejected. Okay, but they use a intermediary platform. So how do they sell it? They sell it to the use of Motibai Group, commonly known as Prowse. Okay, so that's their intermediary. So if POFG cuts off that platform, whereby instead of using Browse, what they do is they open up their own shops and then they start selling the product. Now, this is an example of a brick and mortar kind of business. That means they will have a physical shop in the town. How about this? So they do not have a physical shop, but instead they create a website and then they sell their products. So what will happen is it will benefit the customers more. How? Firstly, customers can order things online. Secondly, it would cost customers quite less than what they are buying from Browse. Why? Because Browse would buy the product from POFG, they'll put in their profit margin on it and then sell the products. Whereas if POFG would have to sell it, they might probably sell it the same price they're selling it to Browse. So this intermediation is whereby businesses directly sell goods and services to their customers. And then we have re-intermediation. Steps are added to the value chain as new players find way to add value to the business process. Example, product to be sold by other retailers. That's a very good example of what Browse and POFG are doing, whereby what they will do is products are sold by other retailers. Now we have more examples. For example, the grocery items that we are buying. So these grocery items, they are brought in Fiji by some other company. Let's say if you buy Tucker's ice cream. So Tucker's ice cream is basically produced by Goodman Fielder. So what Goodman Fielder would do is basically they will produce the product and then they will produce a product and then they will use other supermarkets to sell the items. So that is an example of re-intermediation. Again, when re-intermediation is involved, what happens? The loss goes to the customer because the customer ends up paying more. And then you have cyber mediation. Refers to the creation of new kinds of intermediaries that simply could not have existed before the advent of e-business. Example, comparison websites such as Kelgu or Travelocity. Now, cyber mediation is new types of trading infrastructure that could not have existed before the advent of e-business. So when you talk about advent, the word advent means the development or the rising of e-businesses. So we have here some examples in Fiji as well. We have BT Card. Okay, so cyber mediation came in. Moreover, we have online banking, whereby you are able to pay bills, you are able to perform payments through the use of online banking or mobile app banking. So this is only possible through the advent of e-businesses. So the next, okay, in the next slide, you'll be able to see something like this. Now, at the very bottom, you will see Dell selling products directly to customers. So Dell is a manufacturer, and then they are selling it to the customer. So that's an example of this intermediation. Now over here, you have Dell selling the products to a retailer, and from there, it goes to the customer. So that's an example of re-intermediation. And then you have IBM. So they are the manufacturer. They have the distributor. Distributor gives it to the retailer, and then the retailer sells it to the customer. So that's an example of intermediation. So what you'll notice is that as e-businesses grew, or through the advent of e-businesses, you see the process has come to something like this. Instead of selling the products from the manufacturer to distributor, distributor to the retailer, and retailer to the customer, we have come down to manufacturer selling it directly to the customer. So in that case, what happens is, if you look at the price range, so with the use of intermediation, the cost was $1,200. But through the use of this intermediation, the cost is $800. So the customer ends up saving $400. Improving effectiveness. E-business websites must create buzz, be innovative, and add value and provide useful information. It must build a sense of community and collaboration. So how are you able to do that? Through the use of marketing, mainly mainstream web marketing. Interactivity measures advertising effectiveness by counting visitor interactions with the target ad, including time spent viewing the ad, number of pages viewed, and number of repeat visits to the advertisement. So interactivity is more like you're tracking your visitors. So when we say visitor, is just saying your customer being on the website. So when you are practicing interactivity, you're basically tracking your customer. So how do you track them? You have various means. A very good example is Google Analytics. What Google Analytics do is you have a website, you insert a script code in your website, which will be released by Google Analytics. And what Google Analytics will do is they will track the number of people who are viewing a website, from where, what time, or even to extent which device they are using. Another way in which you can track your customers is to the use of a heat map. It's a two-dimensional representation of data in which values are presented by colors. So a heat map is just like you are inserting a code in your website, so wherever the visitors or the customers who click on the website, that particular spot will have some form of heat signatures. There you go, you have an example. So wherever you'll see the red portion, that means that's the place where customers have clicked more. So after looking at the heat map, you observe that a lot of customers click on the product image as per your existing design. So red is an indicator of clicked more. White is an indicator they've not clicked at that spot at all. And where you have green, there's a slight clicks here and there. Clickstream. Data tracks the exact pattern of a consumer's or customer's navigation through a website. Clickstream data can reveal number of page views, pattern of website visited, length of stay on a website, date and time visited, number of customers with shopping carts, number of abandoned shopping carts rather. So Clickstream, this data is revealed by a number of data points on how customers interact with a website. Now, how this is done? This is done through the use of a JavaScript code. Normally, we call it as just scripts. So what scripts do is when people end up clicking on specific spots on your website, so at the back end, the code is recording where they're clicking, how much time they are spending on a specific feature, what is the length of their stay on the entire website, date and time, and so forth. Improving effectiveness. Now, when you talk about improving effectiveness, right at the very beginning, we talked about it, is more about marketing. How do you market your website, or how do you market your electronic business? Generating marketing revenue on the internet. Banner ad is a box running across a web page that is often used to contain advertisements. Contains a link to the advertiser's website. Web-based advertising services can track the number of times users click the banner, generating statistics that enable advertisers to judge whether the advertising fees are worth paying. Banner ads are like living, breathing, classifying ads. So banner ads, now generally when you open a website, right on the very top, you may see an image. That's an example of a banner. If you study the parts of a website, that's called a banner, which you see on the top. Now, generally on the left-hand side and the right-hand side, sometimes you have tiny advertisements. I think if you're using Facebook on a browser, a computer-based browser, so you will see on the left-hand side, right-hand side, you have advertisements coming in. Now, that is an example of a banner ad, okay? Just a small section in a particular website which contains advertisements about specific companies. So what happens is that if you're seeing on Facebook, that means, let's say if a company, let's say if Prouds, you're seeing advertisements of Prouds on the right-hand side in a form of a banner ad, that means Prouds may be paying some form of commission, or they may be paying fees for actually running that particular advertisements. This is how companies like Facebook, Instagram, or even Google, they make money through the use of advertisements. You have pop-up ad. It's a small web page containing an advertisement that appears on the web page outside the current website loaded in the web browser. A pop-under ad is a form of a pop-up that users do not see until they close the current web browser screen. Now, you must have gone through a pop-up ad and a pop-under ad. Pop-up ad is when you click on a specific spot on a website and a small web page opens right on top of that page or right on top of that website. There's an example of a pop-up ad. Now, pop under ad is just like when you click on a specific spot, you do not have something opening up straight away. But when you go and close the website that you are viewing, and later onwards, you'll see that a small page is open up somewhere in the corner of your desktop. That's an example of pop under ad. Generating marketing revenue on the internet, we will continue with this. Now we have associate programs, also called as affiliate programs. Now they're also generally labeled as affiliate marketing. Allow businesses to generate commissions or royalties from an internet site. Now, for example, a business can sign up as an associate of a major commercial site such as Amazon. The business then sends potential buyers to the Amazon site using a code or banner ad. The business receives a commission where the referred customer makes a purchase on Amazon. Now, this is what happens. It's just like I have a web-based company and my company is doing well. So all of a sudden, Jax comes to me and tells me, hey, Munil, since your business is doing well, how about we pay you for a little amount? So if a customer comes and buy any specific item advertised on your website, you'll get some royalty or you'll get some commission. So what we do is then we'll take up a picture, put it on my website, and then we have some form of a JavaScript code running on the back end. So as soon as somebody clicks and that customer goes around buying the product from Jack's website. So it's okay, to describe the process, the customer would click on my website on that particular ad, it will open up Jack's website and they end up buying a product for $1,000. Let's say Jack's had said to me, they'll give me 10% commission, so $100 commission, they will send it to me when the payment time comes. So that's an example of affiliate program or affiliate marketing, when you combine yourself with another company to purchase and sell items online. Viral marketing. Viral marketing is a technique that induces websites or users to pass on a marketing message to other websites or users, creating exponential growth in the message's visibility and effect. One example of successful viral marketing is Hotmail, which promotes its service and its own advertises messages in every user's email notes. Viral marketing is a word-of-mouth type advertising program. So when you talk about viral marketing, the very most simple way I can tell you about viral marketing is, imagine this. You work for a company and you want to advertise the company's product. So your company has an email. In the email signature, you'll put down the advertisement. That's viral marketing. So it's just about you are trying to market a product in various viral means. So you can have either in the form of an email signature, you can have advertisements on websites, you can also have these messages on the social media page and so forth. And sometimes you have big companies like Google, you have one name was mentioned there, Hotmail, you have MSN, Bing, so forth. Many different companies go around paying companies like this, Google and so forth, to actually go and advertise their products, and they pay a huge sum of money. For example, what you'll notice is sometimes when you try to search something on Google, and right on the very top, you have some advertisements coming in, and it's written ID, ad, and then you have some information. Now, where it says AD, so these are all paid advertisements. So companies pay a huge sum of money to actually advertise these products and services. Also, you'll notice a lot of advertisements on YouTube. When you're viewing a video, you'll see advertisement about games popping in, advertisements about a certain product coming in, and so forth. Now, how do they come in? No, they do not come in themselves. These are all paid advertisements. So YouTube is generating revenue through those means. Clickstream analytics. Okay, the process of collecting, analyzing, and reporting aggregate data about which page a web visitor visits and in what order. There are two levels of clickstream analytics. You have traffic analytics and e-business analytics. So again, clickstream analytics is just like when somebody clicks on a specific spot on a particular website. So this information is collected and given out to the owner of that specific website or to the administrator of the website. Now, generally, there are two types of clickstreams. You have website analytics or website traffic analytics, and then you have e-business analytics. So when you talk about traffic analytics, is uses clickstream data to determine the efficiency of the website for the user and operates at server level. Now, how do you measure the efficiency is based on how many people actually go and visit your website on regular basis. So traffic analytics tracks data on how many pages are served to the server, to the user rather, how long it takes for the page to load, how often the user hits the browser back button. So if the user hits the browser back button, that means something is wrong with that page, or that page is not able to provide the information that the user was looking for, and how much data is transmitted before the user moves on. So how much data is transmitted, in other words, what all events takes place when a customer goes on a specific page on a website, and before he or she moves on, how much time he or she spends. Where, when we say data is transmitted, it's more like where all the user goes and clicks onto that particular website. So this is what traffic analysis looks at. It looks at basically how long a user spends time on a particular website, what is the most maximum time the user spends, or what is the most least time the user spends. And based on that, there are some certain conclusions made whether something is wrong with the page or something is totally fine with the page. And looking at website e-business analytics uses clickstream data to determine the effectiveness of the site as a channel to market. Now, e-business analysis track what pages the shopper lingers on, what the shopper puts in or takes out of the shopping cart, what item the shopper purchases, whether or not the shopper belongs to a loyalty program and uses a coupon code, and the shopper's preferred method of payment. So e-business analytics, it helps a company understand the buying patterns and if the customer finds the right products to purchase or not. So based on all this information that we have just talked about, a company is able to make some sort of conclusion in terms of whether it is able to provide the information or the product that the customers after. The 4 e-business models, like I mentioned, you must have already gone through it, but we'll go over again. Now, e-business model, there are 4 types, okay? What are e-business model? Basically, it is a plan that details how a company creates, delivers, and generates revenue on the internet. So you have 4 types: business to business, business to commerce, sorry, business to consumers rather, B2C, and then you have consumer to business and consumer to consumer. So if you want to define these, so this is how it is, okay? Now, business to business applies to businesses buying from and selling to each other over the internet. There is a business and a business, they're buying and selling from each other. Business to consumer applies to any business that sells its products or services to consumers over the internet. Business selling goods or services to customers over the internet, that's business to consumer. Consumer to business applies to any consumer that sells a product or service to a business over the internet. Now, this is vice versa, whereby the consumers are selling a product or service to business over the internet. Now, this is an example of what you may see on eBay or even AliExpress or Alibaba, whereby a customer ends up selling products to a business. Consumer to consumer applies to sites primarily offering goods and services to assist consumers interacting with each other over the internet. Now, you'll see this is what is happening at the moment. It has just plastered up and boomed here in Fiji. You'll see whereby people who used to be daily customers, now they have started selling things over Facebook, over Instagram, or over any form of social media means. So that is consumer to consumer types of business model. Now, here's the thing. There's 4 different types, and there's no limitation in terms of organizations can employ more than one business model at a time. So our business may sell its product only to a customer, so it's B2C, or a business may sell its product to other businesses, so it's B2B. So they can employ any more than one business model at any point in time. Now, e-business forms and revenue generating strategies. This is how businesses, they end up generating revenue. Content providers. Generate revenue by providing digital content such as news, music, photo, or videos. You have Netflix, you have iTunes, you have CNN, you have YouTube, and so forth, where generally a form of content is provided. You have infomediaries, provide specialized information on behalf of producers of goods and services and their potential customers. Example, Edmunds.com, or Bloomberg.com, or Zillow.com. Now, these companies, what they do is they provide information to consumers on behalf of the producers of goods and services, most likely distributor companies. Online marketplaces bring together buyers and sellers of products and service. Example, you have Amazon.com, you have eBay, AliExpress, Alibaba, so forth. Portals operate central website for users to access specialized content and other services. Example, Google, Yahoo, MSN, etc. So portals, basically, this is a central website, okay, which connects other businesses together. So you have Google. Through Google, you can search almost any other website. You have service providers, provide services such as photo sharing, video sharing, online backup, and storage. Example, Flickr.com, MapQuest.com, and YouTube. So these service providers, they do not sell any kind of products, but instead they only focus on providing a specific kind of service. Okay, if you look at iTunes.com, they provide digital music. YouTube, the most common one, music, video, so forth. And then you have transaction brokers, process online sales transactions. Example, eTrade.com, you have CharlesSchwab.com and Fidelity.com. Another common one is PayPal.com. What they do is they process online transactions on behalf of companies, and they cater the need for the customers as well. So transaction brokers play a very important role. For instance, if I buy a product from Alibaba.com, so I'm buying from a person, let's say somewhere in China. So if I'm buying a product from them, so I'm paying the money here before the product arrives to me. So I have no form of securing my money in terms of if I would process the transaction, the money goes into the other person's account. And then if I do not get the product, I have no way of contacting him because this person is so far away from me. So what do I do then? The best way is using a transaction broker. So what I can do is I can use PayPal. So what I do is I connect my credit card to this third-party organization, which is a transaction broker, to PayPal, and then I process my transaction. So what PayPal will do is they will hold off the money until the product comes to me. Let's say the product comes to me, I'm satisfied with the product, I inform PayPal, and PayPal will release that particular transaction amount. If just in case the product does not come to me within the certain specified time, and I inform PayPal, so they will release the transaction amount back to me. Let's say the product comes to me, I'm not happy. Again, I can inform them, and arrangements could be made whether the product could be returned or new product could be sent back. Now, this is where sometimes people would think, or buyers would think, the consumers, okay, let's do this. Let's get the product. And once I receive the product, I tell PayPal that I did not receive and I'll get back the money as well. Now, all these items generally sent to the user of PayPal are tracked. So once it leaves China, it will be tracked. As soon as it reaches Fiji, it will be tracked. As soon as I go and pick it up, it will be tracked in Posh Fiji's records. So these are tracked. So there's no way that either of the parties would cheat, and it protects both the customer and also the seller. Search engine. What are search engines? Basically, it is a sort of a website that allows you to search for anything on the web. Example is Google. Website software that finds other pages based on keyword matching similar to Google. So we do not have just Google, we have Yahoo as our search engine, we have Bing, we have MSN, we have AOL, America Online, and so forth. There's so many. Now, search engine ranking evaluates variables that search engines use to determine where a URL appears on the list of search results. Search engine ranking, this is how search engine rankings work, or this is what they are. When you go and search something on Google, okay, for example, you will type the word cars, and then a particular website comes up right on the very top. Now, This is called a search engine ranking. That means this particular website is ranked the most highest on Google based on a particular key term. So therefore, this particular website appears right on the top of the list. For example, let me give you another example. How do I do it? How do the ranking improve? There are set of procedures to actually perform the ranking. I'll come back to it just in a while. Now, there are some websites that appear on the fourth or fifth page of Google search result. I search for something, I'm not able to find it. Somewhere down at the bottom, I move on to the next page. I go to the fifth page, then I find that specific website. Now, that means that particular website is ranked this specific number on Google search result on specific key terms. Now, if I want to improve the search result of a particular website, what I can do is I can always go and apply some tactics, and this tactic is called search engine optimization. It combines art along with science to determine how to make URLs more attractive to search engines, resulting in higher search engine ranking. Okay, so what happens is basically you apply some form of tactics and you try to improve the ranking of a website. How to do it? You have to use specific keywords in the website. You need to ensure that your website is up to the standard that Google wishes to have. Moreover, you need to have more people coming into your website. Moreover, your website need to be reviewed well, and so forth. Okay, so that's how you generally improve your search engine rankings through the use of search engine optimization. Now, e-business revenue models. So how do people make money using e-businesses apart from the normal buying and selling of products? First one is advertising fee. That means paying for some form of advertising. You have license fee. So if you want to do something on the web, it requires a specific kind of license. You have subscription fee as well. So you have a product, not product specifically, you have a service, and you want to have that service for a specific amount of time. For example, Netflix, if you want to view movies, so you pay subscription fees. For license fees, you have softwares, online-based softwares. You have transaction fees, whereby you perform some form of transaction and you end up paying a small amount of fees for it. Now, if you are someone who is on a receiving end, so you get the transaction fee. Now, value-added service fee. This is generally for service-based organizations, whereby small amount fee is charged for the service that they provided. You have pay-per-click. That means if somebody you advertise something, and the customer clicks on it. So if you are the company who's advertising the product, you get specific amount of money on the click. And then you have pay by call. That means if you advertise a product, somebody calls regarding the product, so you end up paying for it. You have pay for conversion. Now pay conversion simply means in terms of if you have advertised a product, customer comes, view the advertisement, after viewing it, jumps into the original website and purchases that product, then you are paid specific amount. So conversion means is generally customers viewing it and they end up buying the product. Pay per conversion. Now, e-business fraud. Now, we also have fraudulent activities with e-businesses, which could be listed as some of the disadvantages of e-businesses. Affiliate programs allows a business to generate commission or referral fees when a customer visiting its website clicks a link on another merchant's website. Now, what happens here is sometimes some businesses may end up tricking a specific business. So what happens is generally they are performing some form of affiliate programming, and then the customer ends up into a dummy website and the money goes to somebody else. Click fraudulent, the practice of artificially inflating traffic statistics for online advertisements. So it's just like if somebody is advertising, if somebody is advertising for pay-per-click, okay, so I'm the company who's advertising, so what I can do is I can go and click on it myself or ask a friend of mine to go and just click on it whole day. So in that way, on pay-per-click, I'm being paid something. So these are fraudulent clicks. And then you have hit bots. Create the illusion that a large number of potential customers are clicking the advertiser's links when in fact there is no likelihood that any of the clicks will lead to profit for the advertiser. So hitbots basically they increase the number of page requests or hits to a website, it is an automated and a code-driven process. So what happens is, again, comes back to here, pay-per-click, pay-per-call, and pay-per-conversion. So the use of some form of programming languages and code-driven processes, I will try to go and trick the business that, okay, customers are potentially clicking on it while in fact they aren't. It's just me trying to generate more revenue or fork out for more money from that particular company. E-business tools for connecting and communicating. So there are some specific types of e-business tools that companies could use for communicating with one another. So you have emails. Now you all know what emails are. The long form for email is electronic mails. Just like you have a normal mail in the post office, over here you send mail but through the use of electronic means. You have instant messaging, also called as IM. This is a real-time chat messaging system. You have podcasting. Podcasting, it is just a way of you broadcasting audio. It's just like people are speaking and you're overhearing them on a internet-based platform. Video conferencing allow people at different locations to interact via two-way video and audio transmission, what we're doing now. In fact, what we're doing now, yeah, it could be counted as video conferencing, but it's more of like a web conferencing. Now, with video conferencing, what generally happens is that you are communicating with someone at different locations, but with limited capacity. Whereas with web conferencing, is like you are video conferencing with document sharing, and it allows you to deliver presentations to a larger geographically dispersed participants. So over here, you are communicating with a number of people, but they are generally located at different locations and most likely in a larger geographically dispersed location. That means one is here in Fiji, Australia, India, London, so forth. So that is an example of web conferencing. And then finally, you have content management system, or in simple terms, we call it as the abbreviation CMS. So content management system is a platform to manage, to create, to store, to edit, and perform publications on the website content. So through this use of CMS, what you can do is you can simply and easily go and edit the content of your website. Now, challenges of e-businesses. Now, there are some challenges and we'll be looking at them in more detail. First of all, identifying limited market segments. You have managing consumer trust, ensuring consumer protection, adhering to taxation rules. So if you look at identifying limited market segments, is lack of growth in some sectors due to product or service limitations. Example, online food sector, fragile and consumable goods, and highly sensitive or confidential businesses such as government agencies. Now, when you talk about limited market segment, whereby it becomes fairly impossible to sell the products online. Example, medical services or probably medicine sold online. Why? Because if something goes wrong, a person may die, okay? Or sometimes when we talk about limited market segments, the product is too fragile to actually send it over from one location to the other, so you wouldn't risk it. So those are examples of limited market segments. If we look at managing consumer trust, so with managing consumer trust, the physical separation of buyer and seller, the physical separation of buyer and merchandise, and customer perceptions about the risk of doing business online provide unique challenges. So what happens here is when you try to manage consumer trust, the main issue here is the physical separation. That means the customer is not able to see the product or service. So the level of trust is always of a doubt when you try to sell or buy products online. And to build trust, being accessible and available to communicate in person with your customers using customer testimonials and accepting legitimate forms of payment such as credit cards. Now, let's say if I give an example, I want to buy some products, let's say from all the way from India. Okay, Now, if you go and research over the web, there are more fraudulent activities taking place by and seller from India to any other company. It's the most India to any other country is the most highest in the world. Just because of the physical location, there's a lot of trickery. So if I want to ensure if I am buying a product from a seller in India, he or she is legitimate, what are some of the things that seller could do? First of all, he or she could communicate face to face in terms of video conferencing. He or she could use customer testimonials. Now, let's say Fiji to India. So if he has sold products to another customer here in Fiji, so he or she shows the testimonials. And then what I could do is I can use that person to contact them and look at the legitimacy of that particular seller. Or another thing is this, when I'm giving out payment, I would use sort of a transaction broker. If a seller would tell me, okay, no, we don't use transaction brokers, we don't use PayPal. So that means something is wrong. Please do not engage in such kind of buying or selling. So this is about managing consumer trust. So you as a consumer, if you want to buy a product or service, you want to ensure you get the best service. In the same time, you also want to ensure that you are not tricked in any particular way. So many times, e-businesses are looked in such a way whereby the consumer trust is always an issue. Ensuring consumer protection. Protect its customers, guarding them against unsolicited goods and communication, illegal or harmful goods, insufficient information about goods and suppliers, invasion of privacy and misuse of personal information, and online fraud. Increased security system, however, must not make e-business websites inflexible or difficult to use. Now, you must protect your customer always in one way or the other. Now, one of the best ways in which a customer normally it provides a customer with a sense of satisfaction that the website is secured is by looking at SSL certificates, secured socket layer certificates. Now, how do we identify it? Generally, if we look at the website address, HTTPS, if it has the letter S with HTTP, that means the website has a secured socket layer certificate, SSL certificate. Another thing is you have a transaction broker, which basically acts on behalf of handling the money for both parties, for the customer as well as for the seller. Okay, and there are many other means that you can use. Also, you can use in terms of ensuring that your customer's identity is not revealed, okay, and so forth. Adhering to taxation rules. Tax policy should provide a level playing field for traditional retail businesses, mail order companies, and online merchants. The internet marketplace remains mostly free of traditional forms of sales tax, partly because e-commerce law is vaguely defined and differ from state to state. Now, at the moment here in Fiji as well, we do not have much of taxation rules on e-businesses. Okay, so what happens is that if there is no taxation rules, the sellers can often trick consumers in terms of they can apply a double taxation on the products. Sometimes they apply no taxation, which can be a benefit to a consumer, but it could later be a disadvantage to the seller. Why? Because once the seller makes his or her revenue statement for the year, the taxation authority in that particular country may charge them more tax. So these are some of the things that is of a issue, a big time issue in electronic businesses. Okay, let's take a minute or two, and should you have any questions or any queries, feel free to ask. By the way, we have quite a little number of participants today in the class. So those of you who joined me, thank you very much for putting time and effort. If you have any questions or queries, please feel free to ask. Now, I do understand that today's lecture notes is quite long, but we'll go over it. Why? Because we need to save time for the later weeks, just in case something goes wrong, just in case if you have disturbance in the class or so forth, we are at a stable position. Moreover, it will give you more time at the very end to revise and more time for you to get well versed with all our syllabus. Any questions, any queries? I'll give you a minute. If no questions or no queries, we'll go around looking at the learning outcome for 3.2. And in section 3.2, we're looking at Web 2.0. Another 20 plus slides to go. Okay, no questions, no queries. If not, let's move on. So in this particular section, 3.2, we will look at Web 2.0 and its 4 characteristics. We'll also explain how businesses 2.0, when you talk about businesses 2.0, businesses who are using Web 2.0 technologies, is helping communities network and collaborate. We describe the 3 business 2.0 tools for collaborating. We also look at 3 challenges associated with business 2.0, and we'll describe Web 3.0 and the next generation of online business. Web 2.0, the next generation of internet use, a more mature, distinctive communications platform characterized by 3 qualities. And you have sharing, collaboration, and free service. Now, if you look at Web 2.0, it is a level up from Web 1.0. Okay, you have a set of economic, social, and technological trends that collectively form the basis for the next generation of the internet from Web 1.0. Okay, that means there's a lot of technological growth from 1.0 to 2.0. And if you look at the 3 qualities, you have collaboration. That means you come together, you share. Okay, and then another thing is free service over the use of World Wide Web. And if you look at these slides, you have content sharing through open sourcing. Okay, you have user contributed content, you have collaboration inside the organization, collaboration outside the organization. So the overall objective of this diagram is to show sharing, collaboration, open source, which could also be catered for free service, and communication. Open system. Non-proprietary hardware and software based on publicly known standards that allows third party to create add-on products to plug into or interoperate with the system. So when you talk about open system, they are non-proprietary hardware or software. When you talk about non-proprietary, the simple word to use is these are free things over the web. So that was one of the main motives of Web 2.0. is those services that used to be charged, now they must be provided for free over the web. So you have source code. Okay, so in open system you have 3 things to consider. First of all, you have source code. Now source code generally contains instructions written by a programmer specifying the actions performed by computer software. Is generally, let's say if I have a software, so the source code will be the entire coding that I do for that particular software. So that's source code. Then we have open source. Open source is whereby the source code is made available for free to edit, to review, and modify. Remember source code, those programming stuffs for the software, now they are provided for free so that the user could go and edit, view, and modify. That's an example of open source. Now, closed source is also source code, but it is encrypted. In other words, it does not allow the user to copy, edit, view, and modify. It just allows the user to go and view the code. Okay, let me repeat that. Source code, set of programming codes that builds up a software. Open source code available for free. User can view, edit, review, modify. Closed source is source code which are encrypted, whereby the user can only view it, but they cannot go and copy, edit, or review. User contributed content, created and updated by many users for many users. Example, Flickr, You have Wikipedia and YouTube. So this is where users go and create content and they update them so that many other users can go and use and view them. Okay, so there are two types of user contributed content. First of all, you have reputation systems, not reputed, but reputation systems, programs or algorithms that allow users to rate each other in online communities in order to build trust through reputation. So it's just like users can rate each other in online communities based on their reputation. Example is eBay. When you purchase products on eBay, you can always go and rate the seller. Nowadays, you can rate organizations even on Google. What you'll see a review section. If you want to rate movies, IMDb, okay, that's the platform whereby you can rate movies, okay. And then you have native advertising. Okay, native advertising is sponsored content. It matches the feel and function of the media format in which they appear. Now, native advertising is basically, it's a sponsored content, and they basically give you the feel and function of the media in which they are advertising, on which they appear. Example, there is an advertisement of how an app would be used in the phone, and it is advertised as such on online platforms. So that is an example of native advertising. Collaboration systems, tools that support the work of teams or groups by facilitating the sharing and flow of information. Collaboration whereby people would come together and use some IT-based tools, and they would be able to share the information and the flow of information. So those are collaboration systems. Collective intelligence, collaborating and tapping into the core knowledge of all employees, partners, and customers. So this is whereby you have knowledge workers in the organization, and you would be able to get access to these knowledge workers' knowledge through the use of collective intelligent collaboration systems. And then you have knowledge management, involves capturing, classifying, evaluating, retrieving, sharing information assets in a way that provides context for effective decisions and actions. So example of knowledge information is like knowledge management systems. So what they do is it will track information of the knowledge workers, and then with this track, it will try and it will make decisions for the organization using the information that it had gathered. Crowdsourcing. Crowdsourcing is basically the wisdom of the crowd, or in other words, it's a collection of information, opinions, or work from a group of people sourced via the internet, whereby people come together and they share their ideas, they share their wisdom over the web. Example is crowdsourcing. Now, if I have to give an example of crowdsourcing in a very simple way, is you creating a Viber group and people are able to come together and then partake in certain form of communications. You can also do that in Messenger. You can do that what we're doing now. This is an example of crowdsourcing, whereby people are able to come together using online means. Now, crowdsourcing, they come in two types. You have asynchronous, that means data travels in one direction only, and synchronous, data travels in two directions. In terms of crowdsourcing, asynchronous, whereby the message and the response do not occur at the same time. Example, emails. Again, asynchronous, whereby the message and the response do not occur at the same time. Example, emails. So when you're sending an email to someone, you have to give them some time to correspond. If that particular person sees the email same time and would like to respond the very same time, that's a different case. However, it takes time. Whereas if you look at synchronous communication, you have IMs, instant messaging, or chat. Messages and response occur at the same time. Okay, that means you message someone, the other person receives and responds. Okay, if they do not respond, there's no use messaging them. Networking communities with Business 2.0. So you have social media, websites that rely on user participation and user contribution content. I hope you do know what social media is. Example, Facebook. Social network an application that connects people by matching profile information. Now, social media is whereby users participate, okay, and they contribute to the content. Social network is basically a platform or a software or an application where people come and they actually match profile information or they view profile information. Now, Facebook can be counted on it, but the most specific type of website that I could give an example for social network is LinkedIn is an example. We had fijiclassmates.com. I don't know if it exists anymore or not, but LinkedIn is a very good example. Now, social networking, the practice of expanding your business or your social context by a personal network. So when you talk about social networking, it's just a way of you expanding your contact, either in a business point of view or an individual point of view. Social tagging or tags. Special keywords or phrases incorporated in website content for means of classification or taxonomy. You have social tagging, you have foxonomy, you have website bookmarking, you have social bookmarking. Now, tags, I'm sure you must be using tags. For example, hashtag recover Fiji. Tags are very much common in Instagram, okay, in social networking sites, and generally these tags, they have become more known in terms of social media websites. However, these didn't commence or begin with social media website, but it had begun with websites. Now, with websites, you have something called as meta tags. Now, what meta tags give is these are the keywords by which the website is described. For example, if I have a website that advertises on resorts and hotels, so my meta tag might be is the section where you will enter all these meta tags is hotels in Fiji, resorts in Fiji, hotels and resorts in Fiji or Fiji. Okay, so these may be some of the possible keywords. So if you look at those keywords, like, okay, so we have social tagging, describes the collaborative activity of marking shared online content with keywords or tags. Example, like I mentioned, recover Fiji. This is for social purpose, okay, in terms of you trying to build up content or information or you sharing things with people. So that's for social purpose. You have foxonomy. Now, foxonomy is keyword-based classification system. Example is Flickr. You may use in Flickr. Flickr is, by the way, a photo sharing website where users create tags to mark resources. So if I would go into Flickr and then if I would try to search for Fiji, so it will give me all the pictures which are tagged as Fiji. So that's foxonomy. Now, website bookmarking is whereby you try to locally store the URLs on your browser. Bookmarking is just like you are saving a particular website on your browser. Now, the thing is this, it only saves locally, that means within your computer. If you go to some other computer, it's not there. It's just saved within your, your computer. Social bookmarking allows users to share, organize, search, and manage bookmarks. So with social bookmarking, what you do is the bookmarking that you've done for websites, you can share them with others. So that's social bookmarking. I don't think we use social bookmarking to much extent here in Fiji, but just in case if somebody needs a link and you have that particular bookmark saved, what you can do is you can share it someone through the use of social networking sites or through the use of emails. Now, foxonomy for cellular phones. Now, what does it mean? Foxonomy for cellular phones. That means what are some of the tags that you generally use for tags or keywords used for cellular phones? We say cell, we say cell phone, okay? We say iPhones, that's how people call it. We say mobile phones as well, which is here. We say BlackBerry or iPhone. BlackBerry nobody uses anymore. iPhone we use it. Now, you see sometimes it's so common that some of these foxonomy, they become so common that we start using the foxonomies instead of the real thing or the real name. Example, how many of you must be using the word Colgate for toothpaste? Now, in general, it's a toothpaste, but If you would go and buy, you'll say, okay, let's buy Colgate. Why? Because you're so used to that Foxonomy. Okay, so this is what Foxonomy. Another thing is, for example, people, instead of saying juice, they would say, let's buy Coke. By Coke, they mean juice, even though they may be buying a Fanta. Okay, so that's how effective it is. Now, generally, let me give you another example. If you're looking at fast food, if you're looking for something like burger, then you may end up saying McDonald's. Okay, so those are examples of Foxonomy. Likewise, we have something similar for social tagging as well. Next up, we have blogs. Now, these are the business 2.0 tools for collaborating. That means how you go around sharing information or how you combine things from people. Blog is an online journal that allows users to post their own comments, graphics, and videos. Popular business examples: Sweet Leaf Tea, Stonyfield Farm, Nuts About Southwest, Disney Parks, etc. So blogs is basically you are trying to come up with your own content. You come up with text, you come up with images, you come up with videos, and you launch it up on the web. Now, wikis is more of like a blog is an individual thing. Wikis is more like a collaborative thing. That means many people can come in, they can add, remove, and change content. A very good example for wikis is Wikipedia. Moreover, you have so many other websites whereby you can always go and edit things. We have Webopedia as well. We have Wikipedia. So what they do is basically different people can come in. A lot of people can come into the website, create the profile, and then they edit the content. And finally, you have mashup, content from more than one source to create a new product or service. So what you do is with mashup, you extract the content from 3 or 4 websites, bring it together, and create a new product or service. So example is given there. We have Wikipedia, we have Zillow, TrendsMap, SoundDNA. This we know. So these are the examples. And these are listed in the following slides. I'll just skip that. These are simple things. Okay, now let's go and read this because you have details on microblogging and so forth. So when you talk about microblogging generally comes under blogs. This is where you have a blog, but which is very short. So you can see that it's sending brief posts, 140 to 200 characters, to a personal blog, either publicly or a private group of subscribers who can read the post as IMs or as text. So very simple, very short form of blogging. And then you have real simple syndication. Now with real simple syndication is a web format used to publish frequently updated works such as blogs, news headlines, audio, video in a standardized format. Now with this real simple syndication is like you have something similar to microblogging, but microblogging is quite short in size. Over here, you have something which is much more larger in size. Moreover, with microblogging, you're only putting up text. Over here is real simple syndication. You're not only putting text, you can put in audio, video, and so forth. And then we have wikis, okay, collaborative web page that allows users to add, remove, and change content, which can easily organize and reorganize required. So you have a network effect on wikis. So network effect is basically how value of products increase as a number of users increase. Now, here's the thing. You create a blog about, you create a wiki about something. That means what you do is you create a content about something. So as the number of users increase who has viewed that content, what happens is that the product becomes more and more famous. Okay, now what you'll see is this is what is happening in terms of some of the social networking websites like YouTube. Now YouTube is an example of a wiki. How? Because it's a collaborative web page. Many people can come in, they can feed in their content. So as the content has more views, what happens is that if the view is on a product or service, that particular product or service becomes more and more famous, and the value of the product increases. Okay, so that's the network effect. Mashup, website or web application that uses content from more than one source to create completely new product or service. Now, how do they do it? They use an application programming interface. Application programming interface is just a set of routines, protocols, tools for building software applications. So with the use of API, application programming interface, you are able to take in elements from different websites and put it together and come up with a new product or service. Or another thing you can use is a mashup editor. It does the same work as the API. Challenges of business 2.0. So there are a few challenges. You have technology dependence, you have information vandalism, and then you have violations of copyright and plagiarism. And what these are is as follows. Okay, so when you look at technology dependence, it's just that people are getting overly dependent on technology, and just because of that over dependence, people are not able to perform things manually. Okay, because there are some point in times when technologies may become obsolete, and where you may end up using your own personal brain. Now what happens is, due to over dependence, people freak out. You have information vandalism. Now this is very common. Look at what's happening on social media. Okay, you don't have to look for abroad. You can just look at some of the local examples. People vandalizing information. So the major purpose of social media was to get people together to share their ideas and view. Now instead of sharing ideas and view, people are sharing hatred and fight. Okay, so that's information vandalism. Violations of copyright and plagiarism. Now who better to actually know this than the students themselves? Copy pasting. Okay, plagiarism, you are basically taking somebody else's work and telling this is mine, or you're not giving them proper credit for their work. Okay, so violations of copyright and plagiarism. And there are some more challenges. You have challenges like protecting the consumers. Okay, so that's a challenge to protect them. Leveraging existing systems. When you talk about leveraging existing systems, it's just like, as years go on, as technologies increase, you have to increase, or you have to improve the existing technologies. Increasing liability. So there's more and more liability on technology than on human beings, than on things. For example, becoming more and more liable on machines, or technology dependence, what we have talked about. Providing security, since you're talking about web, since you're talking about internet technology, then providing security has become a challenge, because more people are able to collaborate, more people are able to do things on the web. So providing security has become an overall challenge. Web 3.0. Now Web 3.0 is again a level up from Web 2.0. Now with Web 3.0, this is where we are at the moment in the year 2021. It has been there for past few years, but this is what we are going through. So first one is we have a deep web. So a deep web is the large part of the internet that is inaccessible to conventional search engines. So when we talk about deep web, is just like saying invisible web. That's a part of the internet or the World Wide Web in which it is invisible to us. For example, my emails, my chat messages, my content on social media, my bank records, my health records are invisible to you. So that's an example of deep web, okay, whereby each person record is inaccessible through the use of search engine. So if you go and type on Google and type down bank account details of Munir Gounder, you will not be able to see my bank account details. Why? That's part of deep web. It's inaccessible. And there's another thing called as dark web. Now, dark web may be part of deep web, the portion of the internet that is intentionally hidden from search engines, uses masked IP addresses, and is accessible only with a special web browser. So dark web is intentionally hidden from search engines, and they require a special web browser. Now, this is where you have people like hackers, people who intentionally go and hide these items. Now, these are not your personal information, these are business information. Okay, and generally they have masked IP addresses. That means they require special passwords, They require special virtual private networks to actually access them. Web 3.0, based on intelligent web applications using natural language processing, machine-based learning and reasoning and intelligence applications. So Web 3.0 is more likely a data web technology, or we call it as information age technology or business, and is mostly artificial intelligence driven, machine learning driven, introduction and development of intelligent applications. So we have more intelligent applications that come in. So when you talk about intelligent applications, it's more likely whereby softwares have much more ability to think than what it already was able to think. Semantic web, a component of Web 2.0 that describes things in a way that computers can understand, just like intelligent applications. So e-government. E-government moves online. E-government is whereby most of the government services are provided online to the people or to the citizens. Involves the use of strategies and technologies to transform government or governments by improving the delivery of service and enhancing the quality of interaction between the citizen consumer within all branches of government. Now, do we have e-government services here in Fiji? Yes, we do. Now, luckily, our government has provided us with a lot of platforms of using e-government services compared to many other governments around the world. Now, how do we do that? Now, we have e-government services for businesses in terms of taxation, FIRCA. Okay, you have the POS systems, point of sale systems connected to the FIRCA services so businesses can cheat over taxes. We have e-government services for citizens as well. Let's say if you want to have your birth certificate done, you can get it done over the web. If you want to have your, let's say your wills done, okay, that means if you pass away and then somebody would take over your property and stuff, you can get that done all online. Those services are available. So many of the services are provided online. And most importantly to note is that we have moved further. Why? Because not only our services are online, but they're also mobile based now. You can have many of the things done online. I think just recently there was this giving out of certain amount of monetary value to individuals, 360 per month or something like that. So that was conducted over the use of mobile services. So we can say is in that way, it's well advanced. Now, e-government moves online. So when e-government moves online, so your 4 e-business model changes into a 9 e-business model. Why? With the introduction of government as another model. So you have business to business, you have business to consumers, and then you have business to government, whereby businesses are able to provide goods and services to the government. And then you have consumer to business, consumer to consumer, and consumer to government, whereby the consumers are able to sell items to the government. Now, business to government, businesses normally selling items to the government. Example here in Fiji is like certain resources, probably vehicles sold online to governments. Consumer to government is where consumers, for example, people who are just farmers, okay, they sell items to the government, or people who are business to government services. Another thing would be is there are many ways that generally consumers they buy and sell with the government. And then government to government, whereby one government department is able to buy and sell items online, okay, with each other or with another government department. So government to business, government to consumer, and then government to government. So this overall in Web 3.0 changed the entire structure of e-business model. M-business, and we were just talking about it. Supporting anywhere business, mobile business, the ability to purchase goods and services through a wireless internet-enabled device. Now, mobile business, do remember, it does not incur with you holding a mobile phone only. You need internet connection on the mobile phone. Only then you are able to conduct mobile commerce or mobile business, whereby you are able to buy and sell things online to the use of mobile phones. So only then your M business is possible. And that finishes up our lecture notes for lecture 3, week 4. Any questions, any queries, anyone? Now, overall, before you ask the question, overall, we looked at few things. We looked at Web 1.0, Web 2.0, Web 3.0. Now, in Web 1.0, you should know what disruptive and sustaining technologies are. Okay, do note this down. Okay, moreover, you should be able to give in some advantages and disadvantages of electronic businesses. Furthermore, you should be able to explain the 4 e-business models: business to business, business to consumers, consumer to business, and consumer to consumer. Okay, and then you should be able to describe these 6 business tools for connecting and communicating. And when you look at Web 2.0, first of all, you should be able to describe what Web 2.0 is, okay, and what are the 3 pillars of Web 2.0. So if you look at the 3 pillars of Web 2.0, these are the ones: collaboration, sharing, and free service. Okay, so you should be able to do that. Moreover, you should be able to describe some Web 2.0 tools for collaborating and some challenges that are faced in Web or Business 2.0. Finally, you should just in brief describe what is Web 3.0 and the next generation business model. You know, you had the 4x4 business model: business to business, business to consumer, consumer to business, and consumer to consumer. Now that had been changed with Web 3.0 with the introduction of government services. So you have business to business, business to consumer, and business to government, and then consumer to business, consumer to consumer, consumer to government, and then government to business, government to consumer, and government to government. So you should be able to know and describe these. So these are the important things that you should be taking note from lecture 3, and you should be knowing it thoroughly. Now, time for any questions. Anyone has any questions or any queries?
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, this is Shalini. So I have one question. I think last week I joined late. I was late. How will our mid-semester exam? How it's going to be, like, or multiple choice or?
Your mid-semester exam, it will be online based, and currently with the current designing of the mid-semester exam, what I'm thinking is it will be 20 multiple choice questions, 20 marks of short answer questions, and either 10 marks of true or false or 10 marks of case study questions.
Okay, sir.
So it will be completely online based.
Thank you, sir.
So, yeah, completely online based. So there's no need, because since other campuses are closed, so there's no physical exam, completely online based. Any other questions, anyone?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Shalini.
No, sir, thank you.
All right, thanks. Okay, if there's no other questions or queries, thank you very much, everyone, for joining in. Today's lecture was quite longer than usual. I appreciate your patience and your cooperation. Now, next we'll meet up on Friday for our tutorial discussion. Please, for a tutorial, attend a tutorial on the Tutorial 3 discussion forum, which is available in the week 4 section of the Moodle show. Remember, once you answer it, I will be providing you with the sample answers. If you are not attempting it, that means you will not be provided with the sample answers. So please do so. And the case studies will be discussed in the tutorial discussion class on Friday afternoon. We have 2 case studies this week, so it will take us some time to discuss all that. Apart from that, take care, stay safe, everyone. See you all on Friday. Thank you.